Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and today, as promised, I'm going to talk about the rotation. This is, of course, remember, a very work in progress thing. Anything can change. I can only talk about the things that I think most people will agree on the 26th of November. Now, the build I'm using is the one where you would be using on Mythic Plus. There's another one that I think it could be better in single target using goremaw and Rotten, but I'm going to be using this one because it's way simpler and you also don't lose that much single target. Possibly, I'm going to be making the other one a little bit later, but it doesn't change much. You would use goremaw on cooldown. On the opener, of course, you will use it once because it has 45 seconds cooldown, and then in a dance in between, and then in the next set of cooldowns. Do be aware that we have a bug right now with the Shadow Blades and the extra combo points from Shadow Blades that we are getting from, for example, the Shadow Strike. We are getting 2 extra combo points from Shadow Blades. Those, if we capped with those, for some reason, it is eating from our shadow techniques. That's why we are not proccing ancient arts that much, and because of that, we are not getting the other Apex 1 or Apex 3 super power that we could get on, let's say, if it was not bugged. There's also another bug with dance making the duration last 2 seconds longer than intended. So even if this says 11, it's actually going to be almost 13. This will be, of course, fixed eventually. We don't know when, but it doesn't change much. We are still going to be able to use Secret Technique twice on our cooldowns. And now I'm going to show you a clip. It's going to be very fast one. Now let's go into it. I'm going to be pausing it so you can follow along because remember, right now there is no add-ons, there is nothing. So the first thing we will do is do a Shadow Strike. This Shadow Strike will fill our combo points, and that way we can enter dance and use Secret Technique instantly. One thing that you want to have in mind is that we have 2 ways to use Shadow Blades. We can use Shadow Blades just as we use Secret Technique, and then um, waste a little bit on the power of the Shuriken Storm, or we can use Shadow Blades a little bit later. I'm using it a little bit later, but it doesn't change anything if you use it before. I'm used to the way it works in the War Within, but I don't think the damage difference is that important. Now, one very important thing, of course, is using the unused cooldown trinket. Remember the one that gives haste. This will make our shadow dance last around 2 to 3 seconds longer than intended. And also, the next time you use shadow dance, that one is also going to last 2 or 3 seconds longer. Now let's go into it. You can see here, Shadow Strike. This one fills our combo points and gives us Find Weakness. Also, 1 stack of Flawless, because remember we are Trickster right now. And then we use our own use case trinket before Shadow Dance. Remember, this is very important. Then we go into Shadow Dance and use Secret Technique. Remember, using Shadow Blades here, it's whatever. You can use it before or after. And also you can see that my Shadow Dance lasts 15 seconds. Should really last 13, actually. And then after using Secret Technique, we use a Storm, and then I use Blades a little bit late, as I talked before. And then we just used Shadow Strike and Eviscerate. If we proc the Apex, we use Eviscerate twice. Eviscerate sometimes changes to the other one, to Coup de Grace, and we just do more damage. And one very interesting thing is you can see that my flawless stacks are keeping up at 5. It's because they changed it. Now there is no like condition on the stacks themselves. Now if you get to 5 and you refresh it, it just refreshes itself. It can be actually a little bit stronger than expected. That's why it's not as bad as before. And then this should not happen going into the next dance without the unused trinket, because remember, it should last 13 seconds instead of 15. So we will have this dance last 13 or 11 seconds because it's lasting 2 seconds less than intended. And also our secret technique, as you can see here, has 5 seconds of cooldown left. So we will be able to use secret technique again. Now, as you can see here, I have also the apex. So I'm going to be able to use eviscerate twice. And that will be the opener itself. Now, the question is, after this, what do we do? So we are going to be using Shadow Dance with our secret technique. What does this mean? This means that we will just be pulling combo points and energy. Maybe if you can get Coup de Grace going into the next dance, that will be kind of good. And then every 20 seconds, we are going to be using that. Now, as you can see, I didn't use any of my T charges. That's because it's not needed while we're in cooldowns. But while you are using backstabs and shadows strikes and something like that, you may use it sometimes. You may not use it that much actually in single target because you are not like super spamming. And also, we have a very high uptime of Shadow Dance right now because it's lasting 2 seconds more than intended. Now I'm going to show you more or less normal rotation while you are just, for example, doing things. This will be just normal. Now, this is what you would do if you get 4 skeleton blades. You would hold Shadow Dance a little bit and then use your Shadow Dance secret technique, Shuriken Storm, Eviscerate, and then go into Shadow Strikes, Eviscerate. You can also, of course, do it a little bit different. If you have 2 or 3 seconds left on secret technique and you have Coup ready, one thing is important, of course, to have the face. You can do Shadow Dance, Coup de Grace, Shuriken Storm, secret technique. Why Shuriken Storm? I also talked about it in the last video, but we have a lot of powerful things. Like we have improved Shuriken Storm, we also have Shuriken Tornado if we talent into it. In the full single target, maybe we don't, but even without this, with the Clever Combatant, and then we get a Lash of Dance Macabre that does a Lash Macabre thing. It is very worth it to use that. Now, another thing that you may know is that we have shadow techniques stored, and for some reason, well, this also happens in the War Within. While you have meditation, you can't proc the apex. That means that you are not going to be able to do a double finisher if you begin the dance with a finisher, but you will need to do one builder in between. This can be a little bit annoying, but it also works correctly. Now, this dance is going to last longer than intended because we have the first dance active right now. But just to make an example, we would get, of course, phased from something else, and then we do Shadow Dance, this one, and then that is when we proc the apex. Maybe we can even proc the apex twice. And normally Shadow Dance would finish already, but it didn't. So that's how the dances in between would go. There is also one thing that I will make in a video a little bit later. I'm going to do a full 5-minute rotation because there's one caveat that you have to know, is that you sometimes will have to hold one Shadow Dance every 3 minutes because the way we use 2, 1, 1, 2 one, and then if we used another one, we would have blades, and then shadow dance would have around 14 seconds cooldown, and the dance itself would last 11 in theory. Of course, remember it's lasting 2 seconds longer than intended, so it's lasting 13 instead of 11. And then we will have 2 or 3 seconds that we would have blades up, but no shadow dance to use, and you don't really want that because we are in a high damage situation. Blades does a lot of damage and also helps us get that powerful next secret technique. As for talents and other things, I'm still going to post this and the other one. And the 5 minute will be with the goremaw and rotten. But remember, there's nothing crazy with that build. You just use the goremaw after the shadow strike. So inevitably you will use one rotten charge in the shuriken storm because you do need to get that premeditation shuriken storm to get the value, but on the second one you will still want to use shadow strike because shadow strike right now does a lot of damage. You can see there it does 13,000 damage and goremaw does only 10,000 because shadow strike right now has 500% AP coefficient. You don't need to know what that means, it's attack power, and goremaw has only 370. So you would go into the dance itself and use shadow dance, secret technique, shuriken storm, eviscerate, shadow strike, eviscerate, goremaw, eviscerate. Nothing crazy, super easy, and that's only a chance. It's not 100% or math out that goremaw hit and other places does more damage than tornado. Of course, we are not going to be spamming storms in single target, so that checks out. Same thing with rotten and potent powder in single target. We are not going to be spamming black powder. Maybe there's a way, if the math actually maths, that we do use black powder at least once in dance, again because of the way Lash Macabre works. It only needs to do around 10,000 or something less for it to be worth it, because remember both of these can crit. And maybe if we do gear more mastery instead of versatility, because remember right now on the PvP gear there's a lot of versatility. We have like 900 versatility. If this goes to more mastery and critical strike, maybe even a little bit of haste, maybe we do use those black powders in single target. But simulations will tell. I'm not going to bother you more. I'm of course going to post the clip in a short itself and also in a video, so you can have the short and also the video itself. Have a nice day, and I will see you on the next video.